Hey, Josh.
Hey, Jared.
What did the axe murderer say when he was in a hurry?
Ooh, this one fits well. This film. Axe murder say when he was in a hurry.
This one's not too hard to figure out, but I always say that.
Now
but
I know how
like,
you feel. It's just like you just get your mind goes
so
blank.
obvious,
yeah, mine just goes blank, panic, and it can't even think of anything.
Yep.
I don't know what is it. What does he say when he's in a hurry?
Chop, chop. That's the best I could find for this.
Hey, welcome back to Screen Time. I'm your host, Josh. And Jared, the mood around this place isn't good for you, especially as an American who was raised on only promises.
Right. That's going to be better than mine, probably.
Well, it was tweaked slightly to be personalized. It's not word for word.
See, yeah, I should start doing that. Well, we don't have to
Anyways,
always
this is Jared, my co-host and brother and birthday boy this week.
Yeah, tomorrow. Well, probably the day that it gets uploaded.
Yeah. The day you're listening, the release.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. It should be.
Oh, not this. Never mind.
Yeah.
While we're recording, the week that we're recording, it's his birthday.
Oh, yeah. There's something in this house, like music in the hallway, like a child's music, asking me something, but more like begging me.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
I did like that line though, but I was like, for an intro, but
yeah. Yeah, because I was just thinking these get released a few weeks after we record them, the movie.
Oh, shoot. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, this is not the TV one.
Yeah, the TV one.
Movie, yeah.
Well, yes, that's why I was like, oh, no.
Yeah. No, you're right.
All right, so we this is our kickoff of Francis Ford Coppola.
Yes.
We wrapped things up with Todd Phillips, and until we go back for his new film.
That'll probably be around
time this drops.
Yeah, probably.
Somewhere. But yeah, we're kicking off Coppola. And we're starting things off with his first official mainstream film.
It took me a while to
figure that out. Yeah.
But it, from what I could find, this was his first official.
So Dementia 13.
Mm-hmm.
So this came out in 1963. It is unrated.
Yeah. I saw that.
And an hour and 15 minutes is what IMDb says. But then the movie we both watched was like an hour and 8 minutes or something.
Yeah, it was around,
so I'm not sure where that came from.
I don't know. I mean, maybe there's different prints.
Maybe.
Of this, or maybe that's going by, I'm assuming this was in the theater. Theatrical release, maybe it was.
Don't know.
I don't know. Neither one of us were alive when this.
I believe this is the oldest film we've covered too, right?
Yes, it is.
It was late 70s for, or was it the Coen Brothers, like their first film? Was that late?
Yeah,
70s?
I think that was the oldest one we did. So Blood Simple. Yeah, that was 1980, 81. It's pretty early 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me make a cut because I don't know. Is that going to come through?
I don't know.
Let's see. I mean, I know not the noise gate, whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Does a pretty good job.
You could also let's move that back over. Just kind of as long as you half pick it up, so that so you just don't drag it too much. Because one of them has like a nail or something. It scratched a little bit at the floor, so trying to. But it's like as long as you pick it up enough, that's not a lot of weight on it.
Is it over this much?
Yeah, I mean, then whatever you get it in there, it's gonna. The more it's gonna block the sound coming in. Yeah. No, Might help. I don't know. I still hear it all right, but the music. But I mean, like you said, it's probably not picking up.
I didn't see it on there.
Yeah, it's not. There's no level. There's no levels when we're not talking. So yeah, it's probably fine. But yeah,
It was a good spot. I can from when we stopped talking.
Yeah. It was just a straight cut. All right, so 1963, unrated, hour and 15 minutes. We already said that, but all right,
this is the oldest and shortest movie that we've covered.
Oh, yeah, that too. Yeah, shortest as well. Synopsis: a scheming widow hatches a bold plan to acquire her late husband's inheritance, unaware that she is being targeted by an axe murderer who lurks in the family's estate. All right. So we've got directed and written by Francis Ford Coppola. Cinematographer Charles Hannawalt.
Mm-hmm.
Music by Ronald Stein. Production costs unknown.
Oh, really?
I couldn't find anything.
I was gonna think about it and see if I could guess, but
well, there's nothing to guess because you might be right, you might be wrong.
I wonder. You know what I did look up is like the average, like what was the average like production cost, around the early 60s for a movie. Okay. And what I found was like, because I wanted to at least get that perspective to see if we could guess. And it said $1 million or $1.5 million.
Okay.
Normally. So
so this was probably a couple 100,000.
Probably, I imagine.
So it was pretty indie.
Yeah.
I did read that it was like made out of some leftover budget from something else.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The producer like had leftover budget from something and was like, if Coppola was doing audio on the main film that they had the leftover budget from, and he was like, "Can you write something that's kind of rip off of Psycho?" And so he wrote this, and then the guy gave him the funding to like make this indie film.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess he just was. That's probably, I imagine, also why the runtime too. Like, this is what we could do with this budget, Probably.
Yeah.
So
maybe. So yeah, we've got a bunch of people I've never heard of in this film.
There's only one person I recognized in this.
Yeah, well, William Campbell. He actually was in a couple episodes of Star Trek and Deep Space Nine.
Okay, so original Star Trek and Deep Space,
Space Nine.
Okay.
All right, and then we have Luna Anders, Bart Patton, Mary Mitchell, and then Patrick McGee. He's also in Clockwork Orange and Chariots of Fire.
That's the one.
Yeah,
that's the one I recognize. Specifically, Clockwork Orange was like,
he's the plays the doctor in this, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I thought. All right, so
the reason why is I knew it was him. He does these like crazy faces that he does so much in A Clockwork Orange. His character in that is just ridiculous. So, yeah.
So, general thoughts on this film?
Okay, well, I guess it goes without saying we both never seen this before.
Right.
Never even heard of it.
No,
honestly. Because I've looked at Francis Ford Coppola's filmography many times, and a lot of like his first few films I'm really not familiar with or even heard of before. So like these first couple that we go through is going to be interesting. Just like completely blind going into them. So overall, well, I wanted to start with, especially with this one and probably the next couple as well, going into it like. I wanted to go into this movie with like two things to keep in mind. One, obviously, this is a hugely famous and great director, but it's his first film, so I wanted to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And actually, even more context than that, you said it was like the leftover budget and all that. And then the other point is it's also a movie made in the early 60s. Which movies were made very differently then. and were kind of, I don't know what the word would be, not so much the plot, but I guess the presentation of the movies were a very specific way than normally a lot of them were. But overall, I mean, it was okay. I mean, it wasn't horrible,
Right.
but it wasn't good either.
Yeah. I mean, so the
Some
issue,
interesting ideas.
the issue I think I have is it's been a long time since I've watched, like, what is a famous film from this time period to be able to compare, to have a better understanding of, like, what is it that's kind of like feeling not good, that is just, but that's the way they made things then, / what they could do, like technologically, and so
early
that's the stuff that I'm trying to think of.
I don't know that time period I'm not as familiar with, like what would be, because like it's kind of a gap, because like you can go all the way back to the 30s with Wizard of Oz, and that was like top tier, right?
Yeah.
It's so like, this is already 30 years after that, so I'm not sure.
Like the Wizard of Oz has a lack of other things, but has like a little more polish to it,
yes,
that this doesn't have. Now again, indie film from the time, so again, as you said, I've never heard of this, never. So I mean, kind of, I guess kind of similar to what you said. It's okay. Like, I mean, granted, it's also not my kind of film, right?
Yeah.
So like, it's like,
I was wondering about this too, because you're not
suspense, thriller, killer kind of thing, which is not really my type of thing that I normally, with a little bit of, I guess ghosts, or like that, like kind of like.
I'm assuming it's probably in the horror category, even though it's not really. It probably has that genre associated with it in some way. But I guess it's more.
But so that's another. I don't know. Yeah,
you're not really into
mark
those
against it, so to speak. For me, I mean, so we get into a little bit of the specifics. I mean, I'll talk about it, but it lacks some polish and stuff. But again, first time director, and at that time, I mean, I think about, like, nowadays, like, you can be exposed to so much as a young person trying to get into the industry, doing things, whatever. You pretty much have all the options in the world to watch and study and learn and do things, and then even practice with pretty cheap options to just practice things. So,
even
like,
with your phone. I mean,
So, but trying to think then, when, like, I mean, you yourself probably only saw a handful of films. Like, you didn't, when growing up, you didn't have like all these movies to watch. And then you also, I mean, if you had a camera, it was probably not, you couldn't use that much, because all that stuff was expensive. Film was expensive. Getting it converted, it's expensive. So
probably didn't have much practice.
Like, so like, again, it's it's a very, very, very different first step for someone. It'd be very different than there would be a lot to learn going through it the first time, because you just never got to practice. Now, I guess he was on, again, from just reading the information on this film, he was doing audio on a film before this, so he was like around it.
Yeah, that's
maybe
interesting.
before
doing audio.
So, but yeah.
Well, I was thinking, like, that's why I was kind of going to have seen, like, kind of looking at this in context to, when it was made and all that, because I was thinking of Sam Mendes, right? Like, his first movie. Now, I think he might have done some shorts and other stuff, short films and stuff before, but his first major movie was American Beauty, which is like, that's amazing. But also, that was 1999 or 2000, right? So similar, not exactly the same as like in 2024 if you're starting out, but still a big difference than starting, early 60s.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like once you kind of get in, if you grew up in say the 80s, like you had access to a lot of movies, and then VHS, and then DVD, late night, and then to the 90s. And so if you wanted to, and then also again camcorders and things like that in the late 80s into the 90s was relatively, so again, not as easy as it is now, but
right,
but especially editing, because then you still was a little challenging to edit sometimes back then, but now, like, once everything went digital and you can edit on a computer, then it became, everyone can play around with the editing pretty easily. But
yeah, well, kind of my main point though is like this, like, you can definitely see there's potential there already, with like certain things in this. I can see that. Like, I mean, we can go into more cinematography, but there was like a few times where I saw like, oh, this seemed like there was a little more substance or style like that he kind of put in. That doesn't seem like, because there are also times in this movie where it just seems like a very typical, even with like the dialogue and stuff, of a movie from that time. But then there's certain times where I see like, okay, there's a little bit more of a, I don't know, lack of a better word, style or approach to it that was a little more interesting to me. And I was like, oh, okay, I can see like him kind of trying things. So yeah.
Well, let's get into kind of spoiling the film. talking more.
It's not really a whole. Well, I guess there's like, it's kind of just one major thing to spoil, but there's not like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a couple. I mean, I don't know.
I guess there's a little bit, but I mean, the main thing is like, who is killing?
Yeah.
Who's the murderer?
But I also think, I mean, based on the synopsis, like, it's not obvious that. So I'll talk about. So my first note is the little setup in the beginning is kind of dumb. I mean, like, literally, like, and like the dialogue.
You mean the opening scene?
Yeah. Oh, it's like she's like, let's go to bed or something. He's like, no, I want to go for a boat ride by myself. She's like, I'm going with you, and she gets on, and then they're rowing, and then he's like, be terrible if I die because you're not in the will, and you would be part of the family. And then he's like, and then she's like, my pills, and then she's out of pills. It was just like one terrible cheesy coincidence. Like, it just, nothing made sense in that.
No.
And then he dies, and then she pushes his body into the water because she's like, oh, they can't find out because then I won't be getting any of the money.
Honestly, like that opening shot, which is like not ideal what you want, but like that was probably the weakest part of the whole movie, I would say.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree that, like, because I was like, oh no.
I know, that's what I was too. I was like, this first shot of, or this first scene, I was like, uh-oh.
The one thing that I did find interesting, this, and then there's some later stuff. I mean, should I save it for cinematography? I don't know. The underwater shots.
That's exactly what I had. Yeah.
I mean, that's challenging to do nowadays,
right? And
we have small, digital cameras that we can kind of, get into things, and put into housing pretty easily. But still, it's a challenge. You can, I can't imagine having to use a film camera.
I know, and I was like, this looks good.
And yeah. So anyway, and there's a couple times. That was some of my favorite,
as far as cinematography. Yeah, all the underwater, for sure. Again, also, if people don't know, I mean, this movie's also in black and white. So that's also
yes.
a big factor as well.
Yeah. All right, so then we kind of get the setup of like classic wealthy family with their secrets and the outsider, including the daughter-in-law who...
Is that just like a common thing or like a movie trope where it's like
definitely
the more money this family has, the more secrets?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. That's why I'm never going to be rich because then you end up with secrets.
Yeah, and then you just have a web of lies.
Mm-hmm.
It just keeps getting bigger and bigger with every million that you acquire.
Because that's the only way you make money is
right. Yeah.
So then my next note is Louise, who is our main character here in the start. As she's pretty good at reading people and manipulating people, I think. Like,
oh yeah.
And because the rest of his family's pretty dumb.
They sure are.
So
I talking about her specifically, I thought it was Luana Anders is the actress's name.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I thought that actress, I thought she was good. Like, I thought she was probably the best performance because some of the other actors not so great.
Yeah.
But she was good.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, she was probably the strongest performance.
Besides, well, I guess, I mean, he just kind of is unhinged in every movie, but the guy we were mentioning,
the doctor.
yeah.
Yeah, and then I thought the scene with she sneaks into the little girl's room. It was good and like kind of creepy and scary. That was like done well, and the like creepy toys and stuff like kind of.
I had an exact note about that. Was the baby wind up toy crawling towards the camera that was super creepy.
It reminded me of Toy Story.
Yeah,
like the creepy toys.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And just to, because I only have like a couple more notes, but to back up, I guess would be like right before that. I did think the title sequence was kind of cool. How,
it took kind of like underwater shot of the guy and then kind of transitioned.
Yeah, and then it's kind of like moving photographs that are like dissolving into each other. I was like, oh, that's cool. That's a cool way, especially again, it's like.
They had to do that
in context to all this. It's like
in camera or in some way because there's no post.
Yeah, I always think about with older movies, stuff like that. It's like, how did they do that? That would be. It's like one of those things where it's like way more challenging when you think about it and how much more time that took to do, as opposed to now it'd be like seconds to do that.
Intention and planning and all that stuff.
Just for something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so then she goes for a night swim.
Yeah.
And then there's more underwater filming, which was cool here.
Mm-hmm.
And we get our first glimpse of the dead girl.
Yes.
Randomly showing up
at the bottom of the water, yeah.
Randomly showing up in places.
Oh, yeah.
And then, she starts to come out of the way and someone starts trying to axe her, which was the worst sequence of action I've ever seen, I think.
Yeah, it was rough.
Like,
looked pretty bad.
That nothing went together. Like it
was all just cut to like.
Well, but like even if you're trying to be like, oh, he's swinging, and then she was like flailing about, like nothing.
It was clearly was not choreographed in any way.
No,
it was just like
she's just like, oh,
he just told her like, here, you just
we're gonna film you,
around,
and you're gonna like, and then we're gonna film you, and you're gonna swing the axe,
and then you just cut it as best you can, I guess, and put it together.
Yeah. So not.
It's interesting because I had no idea about kind of the setup where you're saying. Was it like the person or whoever funded this or the leftover money said, can you make a knockoff of Psycho? So that was the idea. So it's interesting thinking of that in context. I mean, honestly, there's not really a whole lot of Psycho influence in this, but I get where they were coming from with that. But yeah, it's interesting now thinking about the movie in that context. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a good example of a very well done movie. I don't remember what year that came out, Psycho, but like that's a good example of like. Yes. I mean, I haven't seen it in a long time, but that's a good movie done really well.
Choreographed. Those kind of things are choreographed properly.
Well, I mean, yes, but I mean the movie as a whole. We were talking about like what was a good movie.
Older movies. That might be from similar time period.
Yeah, it probably was only a few years before this. I want to say
had to be before it if they were going to reference it.
Yeah, of course. But I think it was like maybe 61.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And then so this is where I also thought was weird because like they set her up as like the lead character and then she gets killed halfway through the film and then we introduce a new person and it's the doctor. That was surprising. I thought she would have lasted a lot longer. It's kind of set up. I mean like or in our preconceived ideas of like how a story would be written, but then again like there's a reason they do that because if you're going to set up and have somebody connect with a character you then want to, so then you had to set up a new character that completely.
Mhm.
And the doctor is kind of, but they do fill the same role of like the suspicious person that maybe is trying to
Yeah.
take the money from the family. But
Yeah. But
Yeah.
that, I mean, that's a good point where, to your point about like how formulaic this movie is. I mean, that was something that was a little
Mhm.
different. That I was like, oh, okay. It's kind of a bummer though. Like you said, she was the best actor in this movie though.
Yep.
So
So then they're all down by the water having tea or whatever, something. and the dolls start popping up out of the water
yeah.
that the or Luis had planted.
Mm-hmm.
And so that freaks the mom out. And yeah, so then like each person kind of leads to the next, like where the suspicious who's killing all these people, the mom gets attacked, which is also another terrible like choreographed scene.
Honestly, I mean, none of the like killing sequences
No.
were highlights of the movie.
No.
But again, it's like if he didn't, Coppola, if he didn't have any experience with that, I guess he was just trying his best to do it. And it's like, there's obviously going to be a lot of movies in his filmography where it's done really well. Any type of like killing or murdering. So like he learned.
Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah, I like the scenes where the other lady, the fiance, following Richard, I think was his name, through the like tunnel, kind of weird like tunnel type hallway to find the dad's old workshop.
Yes,
that was kind of cool stuff.
Yeah, it was. You said fiance, I can't think. My fiance.
Yeah, fiance.
Where is my fiance? Right, and if you know where that's from.
Yes. Better know.
Yeah, all of you should know where that's from. You should.
But then we have the wedding, and of course the doctor's been suspicious, has him drain the pond.
Yeah.
And then
that was kind of a big moment.
Yeah. Then it reveals the headstone. That was before because then that's why he's down the dad's old workshop trying to find the stone tools, see who used them. But yeah, and then then they start finding the bodies, and then the dead girls, because she keeps showing up in random places. Yeah, that makes no sense that she's just there and then she's not there, but
they'd have some kind of element of like if they wanted it to be classified
supernatural,
in this, genre movie. Yeah.
But yeah, then we have the kind of ultimate or the finale scene of the new bride, like she's trying to go to see the dead sister, and as she gets close, then the axe guy comes out of nowhere trying to hit her. And again, another crazy, terrible action choreographed scene.
Also, it's just like, because he it's just a really bad yell he does right when it happens too, but stuff like that, because that sounded not only like the actual performance of the yell, but the audio itself. But that I can't really go into much because I know audio and films from back then were really tough, to get it to sound good. So I don't really fault. That's why I don't really go into actual dialogue or audio, the way it sounds in these kind of movies, especially something like this. That's a very low budget, so.
Well, we find out it's the younger brother that was the murderer all along. Yeah. And then the doctor pulls a gun and shoots him, and he falls in the mud of the drain pond. And then he has flashbacks that we've been seeing partially of him playing with his younger sister, and we see that he really was the one that pushed her in. Mm-hmm. She drowned.
Yep. That's really it. It ends the credits go over the body, right? I think is when the credits
kind of flash to the flashback, and they flash back, and it's credits. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I I have I don't remember. I think it's towards the middle of the movie, where he is. I don't remember which woman he's chasing into the shed.
Mm.
Um, and he just starts chopping
Mm.
I think it was the shed.
Was
Up
the
a
mom
bunch.
was in the dollhouse? What you talking about?
Oh, was it a dollhouse, not a shed?
Yeah, because she took the tiara.
That's right.
And she was
Okay.
like, "I'm gonna take it to her in the dollhouse."
Okay, but like that, like it was just so funny. How many shots of him just like destroying the? It was like way too many. I was like,
Yeah.
we don't need this much of.
It
just
would
made me laugh.
It'd be gone by now.
Yeah, it just made me laugh because it was just so many shots of him just
Yeah,
destroying it. But yeah,
for sure.
and then my only last thing also is another thing that made me laugh was, which one? Oh, I guess it was later. The woman always saying, "Oh, Richard." I just kept thinking of Tommy Boy.
I didn't see it, but yes.
I
Oh,
kept when
Richard.
she kept saying, "Oh, Richard." That's just all I could think about.
That's funny. I was surprised I didn't think of that, but yes.
Yeah, I know.
Mm.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I've seen
Yeah,
that.
it's a good one.
Is that a Farrelly Brothers movie also? I wonder who that director is. I might have to
I don't know.
look into that.
I don't know. I don't think it is a Farley Brothers.
No, I don't think. Yeah, like that and Black Sheep, which is like basically the same movie.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder. Yeah, I have to look that up.
Yeah. So then cinematography. I mean, we talked a little bit about the underwater stuff. Looked really good. There was stuff that looked good. Then there's lots of times when they're doing something pretty basic. And,
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think that's where I noticed it the most. Stylistically, like it seemed like he was trying things, and because there were certain times, especially the underwater stuff, but even a few other shots that seemed a little bit more creative and not seem like just what every other movie looked like from around that time.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is cool. So it's cool that he was still kind of experimenting and trying different things in this. Which again, I mean, I don't know how much, because again, we talk about cinematography. Like, I don't know how much was the cinematographer and how much was Coppola, but that's what I mean specifically is like what.
Right.
I imagine some of it was at least him.
Yeah.
Having a say in it and deciding what kind of shots to do.
Mm-hmm.
We looking up.
No. So. Yeah. I mean, you have any other thing on the cinematography? Any specific shots you?
Cinematography? No. The underwater stuff was my main.
Mm-hmm.
main
Yeah,
point.
mine too. And then that like tunnel hall
Yes.
stuff. Like those were the two areas that like just stood out.
I mean, I did like, even though it was creepy, I did like the little baby toy like coming right,
Mm-hmm.
right into the camera. That was cool.
Yeah. All right. So what about this music? The score.
Okay, I didn't look this person up, Ronald Stein, so I have no idea what he's done. I liked aspects of the score. What I wanted to say mainly though is scores specifically from I would say 50s and 60s especially, just like would always go so hard. Like there would be so much that it's doing melodically, compared to like a score nowadays. Like it was just very busy. Like there was always a lot going on in these scores in these movies from these two decades specifically, which I always thought was really cool. But it's just like, even in scenes where like you don't need to go this hard, the music, and they still do.
Yeah.
Like very normally, and not always with this movie, but a lot of these movies, very detailed with the melodies and the counterpart, and that's something I really liked with movies from these 2 decades. Also, another point is scores. I think I mentioned this in probably another older movie we did, but I really liked how sitting in the mix with other audio and dialogue, scores were always way louder too in older movies like this. And I always liked that. And I wish we would kind of go back to that a little bit. Besides Christopher Nolan, he does it too much.
Yeah.
Although it's fine when you watch home. It's like in the theater though, more so with a Nolan movie. It's just like, I don't know what they're saying because the music is just overpowering. But anyway, so I do like that he does that. But yeah, just something I noticed a lot of older movies. The scores, a lot of stuff now, the score is like too low, in my opinion, I think.
Okay.
Especially in TV, honestly, a lot of times is where it's even worse. I've noticed it. I don't know who makes that decision, and because I mean, ultimately the composer doesn't. I mean, they do it, but then it's like whoever's mixing it and all that afterwards, and the engineer. But let me see. I think that was the last thing about the score. Oh, one thing I did really like was I noticed sometimes they would kind of interweave like a part of a nursery rhyme melody in the score. Thought that was a cool idea. And yeah, that's it for score. So what about you? I mean, I'm assuming you didn't really have any.
Nah, nothing specific. I mean, I noticed it was there. I mean, it was like a lot of, and it was also fun. I mean, like it's always funny when it's like it's not as subtle. It's just all of a sudden like instant.
Oh yeah.
Like going from like, I don't know if there was nothing there, but it was nothing in that loud, or all of a sudden it was like, you know, when it was supposed to be creepy or scary. Like it was like very Cool. Yeah. So I mean, the themes and messages. So
did you have some for this?
I mean, not other than like we were talking about earlier, like it's the, you know, the more money you have, the more secrets you have.
That is good. Yeah.
but what I was gonna say is like
more of a target you become too, potentially.
It's true. The title, Dementia 13. Why do you think it's called that?
Ooh, I didn't even think about this. I mean, going in the movie, I was like wondering, why is this the name of the movie? But after watching the movie, I didn't even think any more of the title. I don't know. I feel like there's got to be an explanation. I don't know. What do you think? I'm gonna Google it and see if there's any meaning to.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's kind of. I mean, dementia is like,
we know that, but like
what is it like? Taking it to, you know, 13 is like the, you know, like the scary number, right? Like I guess, right? Like you know, like right, because that's what they used to be superstitious about, right? Like elevators when they
is that
13th
is that
floor?
the number 13? Oh yeah, you're right. That's got to be
Friday the 13th.
That's a good point. It was funny when I Googled Dementia 13, one of the first things is remake. So I wonder if someone's going to remake this. I don't know. Or maybe there was a remake. Let's see. 13. Meaning. Although that might just be the meaning of the movie itself. Oh. Although this could be in trivia also, but it says the title is a joke on the film industry's exploitation movie hucksterism, and the movie includes a short D13 film quiz to test audiences' psychological fitness to watch the movie. Okay. All right, that's interesting.
Yeah, that might be in trivia, but
I'm surprised since you said he was trying to make a movie like Psycho, like didn't just keep with the one-word movie title.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so
is there much trivia? I wondered.
There's a little bit in here.
Okay.
I mean, I guess because it's Coppola.
Yeah, that's true. People are gonna. Yeah.
The first one kind of, and it's interesting because it gives a little more context than what I was reading elsewhere.
Okay.
but Francis Ford Coppola was assisting Roger Corman on the set of The Young Racers, and they were filming in Ireland. Corman allowed Coppola to use the same set, the same crew and actors,
Nice.
including Luna Anders, William Campbell, and Patrick McGee for the film if he could shoot around the shooting schedule of Corman's film. So
Okay.
that's kind of what he gets.
Have you, because I know, I've heard that name, and I know he's a big deal, Roger Corman.
Mm,
Do you know much about him?
mm.
Okay. I know he's a big deal in the film industry. I didn't look into him too much, but I know I've heard that name before. So anyone watching or listening,
I'm just,
email us.
I was like clicking on him because you said that. I mean, I'm right here. So I was like kind of looking at
is he a producer mainly, I want to say? Or maybe a writer?
Yeah, he's passed away this year
Oh, wow.
at the age of 98.
Phew. Good life. It's a pretty good lifespan.
It looks like he was just a pretty, he was a big producer.
Okay.
They did yeah.
Because it seems like this was kind of like his protege was Coppola.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, at least from what I saw.
On here, they have like the top stuff on IMDb. He's got Silence of the Lambs, Apollo 13, Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
so yeah.
I mean, that's
those are
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty good stuff.
Yeah. Man, Little Shop of Horrors. That movie's great.
So it said the American International Pictures would frequently make use of frozen dollars, whatever that means, in cheaper European facilities, and by sending composers Les Baxter and Ronald Stein to record their scores in London, Munich, and Rome. In spite of the Terror having a very small budget, which is what this was called in Europe, by the way.
The Terror?
Yeah, it
Okay.
wasn't called Dementia 13. Having very small, Stein was able to use 90-piece Munich Symphony Orchestra to record the score for the movie.
Whoa.
And then while in Munich, Stein cut costs even further by juggling the recording sessions to squeeze in the scoring of Dementia 13. Oh, I guess the Terror was something else. And then he did Dementia. I did see that they called it something else in Europe. That's why I assumed that's what it was.
Gotcha. You mentioned one of those was Les Baxter or Leigh Baxter. I don't know how to say his name, but he's one of my favorites. I have. He did a few scores, but mainly just insanely good composer. One of his albums, Space Escapade in particular, is like top tier for me. I found it on vinyl a few years ago, and the cheapest I could find it was like $50, but because it's really rare, and I love the artwork with it. But anyway, he's one of the best to do that specific, like I always call it like 1950s suburbia music. You know what I'm talking about? That feel. He does that the best.
Okay.
And he was the main one that I took inspiration from to do the intro of my album, because I wanted to kind of have that feel for it. But yeah, anyway, he's incredible. So that's cool. So it was his orchestra?
He was already there. He was there as the composer, because the Terror
for that movie.
He was there with Ronald Stein to record the orchestra and compose the music for that movie. So they must have worked on it together.
Nice.
And then he used that time while he was there to also do Dementia 13.
Also, man, 90-piece orchestra is awesome.
That's crazy. A few other interesting things. So evidently the lyrics from Tom Petty's song American Girl, it goes, raised on promises, appears to have come from the line from this dialogue in this film.
Wow, that's a huge deal.
Yeah, where Louis states, especially as an American girl, you can tell she was raised on promises.
Wow.
Yeah,
because I mean,
the line I use, I just quote changed it a little bit.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that was his inspiration for that song, or used that at least. Yeah. That's massive.
It says that Francis Ford Coppola met his wife Eleanor Coppola during making of this film. I
Wow.
don't know if she was. And then last thing, Mary Mitchell, who plays Kane, which was the fiance, I think,
Yes.
right?
I think so.
Would go on to work with director Francis Ford Coppola behind the scenes for most of her career, mainly as a script supervisor.
Nice. That's cool. He met his wife this early because I don't know how many kids he has, but obviously his daughter, Sofia Coppola, great director also. I have her on our list as well, but she hasn't done that many movies. But I guess it wouldn't make sense to go right to her after we're done with him. But anyway, yeah, she has some good stuff, and she's making, I think, something new soon as well.
Yeah.
And I imagine this, Coppola hasn't said, but I imagine Megalopolis is his final movie. I don't think
Yeah.
I don't know his age now, but I imagine this is probably his final movie. It's self-financed, right?
Something like that, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know the specifics.
Crazy. Also, I know that he has his own line of wine, Coppola wine. I've seen that somewhere before. So
Sure, why not?
why not?
That's what all the celebrities do these days, right?
Oh,
They
yeah.
have a line of alcohol.
Some kind of alcohol.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, not a terrible start. It could have been worse.
Definitely. It's like these first couple, I think, because like if you look at the list of like the one we're doing next week, and I want to say at least like a couple more after that, it's like I'm never even heard of any of these. But I mean, they all seem interesting. It's just like I wonder how these few in particular are going to progress and how they'll be.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, then it's a huge jump right to Godfather.
Yep.
So
Yeah. Speaking of, so our next film, his next film is You're a Big Boy Now.
yeah, I looked into this a little bit.
Mommy, wow.
That's right.
I'm a big boy now.
This one I think is more of like a romance comedy, at least from the description on IMDb.
All right.
But who knows? That sometimes can be deceiving.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
All right. Well, let us know your thoughts on our thoughts on this film, because probably no one else has seen this film.
right.
But hey,
Well, yeah,
maybe go check it out and then let us know what you think.
Yeah, let us know if if you know this.
13.
Yeah, if you know this movie, and let us know about like these next couple ones too. You're a Big Boy Now. That's the name of the next one.
You're a big boy.
There's one called like Fillionaires Rainbow or something. I want to say that's coming up soon. That one's rated G.
Okay.
So
All right.
I think that one's a musical. So that'll be interesting too. So he's going a lot of different ways
Yeah.
early on.
Yeah. So let us know. Leave us a comment, send us a message. If you want, you can email us at feedback@screentimepod.com. You can also subscribe on YouTube or subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you'd like, you can send us a message or follow us on Instagram. I'm at JYoungBar.
And I'm at Jared Youngbar.
All right. We'll catch you guys next time.